Theodore Roszak's Where the Wasteland Ends is a critique of modern industrial civilization and a call for a spiritual and cultural renewal. The book argues that the technological, scientific, and rational mindset dominating Western society has created a wasteland, a world that is materially advanced but spiritually empty. Roszak explores how this worldview has shaped our politics, culture, and sense of self, and he proposes that humanity can only heal by rediscovering the transcendent and imaginative dimensions of life. Roszak begins the book by analyzing what he calls the technocratic society. In this society, reason, science, and efficiency have replaced imagination, religion, and moral vision. The modern worldview sees the universe as a machine, human beings as biological mechanisms, and progress as the endless expansion of technology. This worldview has destroyed the older sense of mystery and sacredness that once guided human life. Instead of being part of a living cosmos, people now see themselves as detached observers manipulating nature for their own ends. This mechanistic vision began with thinkers like Descartes and Bacon, who separated mind from matter and made science the supreme way of knowing. The Enlightenment continued this trend by glorifying reason and dismissing religion and myth as superstition. Roszak does not deny the achievements of science, but he argues that its dominance has come to a terrible cost: the loss of spiritual depth, creativity, and inner meaning. Modern people have become alienated from nature, from community, and from their own inner lives. The wasteland is therefore not only an ecological or social crisis, but also a crisis of the soul. Roszak draws inspiration from poets, mystics, and visionaries who resisted the spiritual decay. He refers to figures like William Blake, D.H. Lawrence, and Carl Jung, who defended imagination and intuition against the tyranny of rationalism. Blake's image of the wasteland symbolizes a world drained of imagination, where reason alone governs life. These thinkers remind us that myth, art, and religion are not primitive forms of ignorance, but profound ways of knowing. They connect humanity to transcendence, to what lies beyond mere logic and materialism. The modern cult of progress and technology has also shaped politics in destructive ways. Governments and corporations use technology to control people, turning them into consumers rather than citizens. Politics becomes a technical affair, managed by experts rather than guided by moral or spiritual values. As a result, democracy loses its soul. People feel powerless and disconnected from decisions that shape their lives. The post industrial society promises freedom through automation and affluence, but instead it produces conformity and spiritual emptiness. Roszak criticizes both capitalism and communism for sharing the same technocratic assumptions. Both systems treat human beings as resources to be managed and society as a machine to be optimized. True liberation cannot come from either system but from a deeper transformation of consciousness. The real revolution must be cultural and spiritual, a renewal of imagination, love, and reverence for life. An important idea in the book is Roszak's distinction between two ways of knowing: technical reason and transcendent imagination. Technical reason is a rational, analytical mindset that dominates science and industry. It is powerful for solving problems but blind to meaning and value. Transcendent imagination, on the other hand, connects us to the sacred, the mysterious, and the creative. It allows us to experience unity with nature and to see the world as alive and meaningful. Recovering this imaginative consciousness is essential if humanity is to survive spiritually and ecologically. Roszak also warns that the modern world's rejection of transcendence has psychological consequences. The suppression of spiritual longing leads to neurosis, despair, and addiction. People try to fill the spiritual void with consumption, entertainment, and drugs, but none of these can satisfy the deeper hunger for meaning. The countercultural movements of the 1960s, which Roszak also wrote about in his work The Making of a Counterculture, are seen as signs of a growing revolt against this emptiness. Young people turn to mysticism, ecology, and alternative lifestyles as ways of escaping the spiritual wasteland of industrial society. Roszak proposes that the way forward lies in reclaiming the sacramental vision of the world, the sense that all creation is sacred and alive. This vision, found in ancient religions, mystical traditions, and romantic poetry, must be reinterpreted for the modern age. He does not advocate a return to dogmatic religion, but rather revival of spiritual awareness that unites science with wisdom, technology with reverence, and politics with compassion. Such a transformation would lead to a new civilization that values beauty, creativity, and ecological balance over material accumulation. Roszak's argument is not merely nostalgic. He acknowledges that modernity has brought progress in knowledge and freedom, but he insists that without transcendence, these achievements will destroy themselves. Technological power without wisdom leads to ecological collapse, war, and dehumanization. Therefore, the only way to save civilization is to recover the spiritual foundation that it has forgotten. Roszak's book is both a warning and a vision. It warns that a purely rational and technological culture leads to alienation, ecological destruction, and moral decay. At the same time, it envisions a future where imagination and transcendence guide human life once again. The task of our time is to heal the split between reason and spirit, science and soul, humanity and nature. Only then can the wasteland, the barren world of machines and consumerism, give way to a new era of wholeness and meaning.